Will AI replace marketeers?
Definitely not. I think what it will do, AI doesn't understand your business. AI does not understand what it is working on. What AI is extremely good at is detecting patterns and optimizing a way in which to get to your goals.
Welcome to episode 6 of the 8 Group podcast from Brief to Broadcast. We are going to be talking about AI and also AI marketing and how it's influencing and what the good it can do. I'm very pleased to be joined by a friend and former colleague and actually current colleague as well, Darren Crawford, who is our technical consultant.
I'm Darren. I'm a software engineer by trade. Started out about 40 years ago working in software, and I've seen quite a few changes in that time. I think the real key here is, will it replace marketeers? I don't think the real risk is replacement. I think it's irrelevance. I think if you don't adopt and change, and marketeers have always had to adopt and change. As long as they continue to do that and stay relevant, then they will continue to set the strategy, but use AI as the tool, and that's what it is. It's just a tool to execute and give more value in a shorter time period.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the 8 Group podcast from Brief to Broadcast. We've had a bit of a gap actually in proceedings. I think we were so busy we've not done one for a little while, so we're overdue one. So here we go with episode 6. And on this episode, I'm very pleased to be joined by a friend and former colleague and actually current colleague as well, Darren Crawford, who is our technical consultant. I can call him that, but Darren and I go back quite a long time. First met in 2003 at what was 4DM in Kettering, where we were on the team together there and did our first management buyout of that business in 2007, so a long time ago. So Darren and I worked together for 10 years in that business, actually. So, yeah. Darren, are you well?
I'm very well, thanks. I can't believe it was that long ago. 13 years ago. Sorry, 23 years ago. I was supposed to be the good one with numbers. There you go.
A long time ago. Long time ago.
I tell you what, I wish we had AI back then to tell us what we were doing wrong.
Indeed. It would be good. So let's make a start. And talking of AI, very nice little segue there, actually. We are going to be talking about AI and also AI marketing and how it's influencing and what the good it can do. So Darren being our technical guru, just to kick off with. So for the audience who don't know who Darren Crawford is, just give the listeners a bit of a background on you and who you are and your background.
I'm Darren. I'm a software engineer by trade. Started out about 40 years ago working in software, and I've seen quite a few changes in that time. But through the software side, I was able to get involved with businesses, take on more commercial side of businesses, and then along with yourself, we sort of bought and built businesses and had quite an interesting journey along the way. I actually started out working in the oil industry, which led to a little bit of nuclear, which then from there I somehow ended up in paper, print and marketing. So it was a bit of a strange route to get there. I think every time I changed profession, I halved the percentage margin I was working in. So perhaps I should have went in the other direction.
Excellent. So let's kick off. So as I say, we're going to cover AI. So I think the first place to start is, this is a really good question, I think, for you. So when did AI first start showing up in your work in a real and practical way?
I think AI, as people perceive AI to be today, it would have been about 5 years ago. That's when we were starting to get a glimpse of what was potentially coming, and actually has arrived, really. So I would have said, yeah, it was about 5 years ago. But what's interesting is, AI's been around in a different form. I mean, it was known as machine learning, decision trees, if this, then that, those sort of logics. And really what's changed is the AI has become a lot more intuitive, let's say, and better at handling ambiguity. So it allows non-technical people to be able to interact with it far better than what they could in the early days.
Yeah, it certainly moved on a lot, isn't it? That's for sure. And then from a technical perspective, what's genuinely new versus the old automation with a kind of fresh coat of paint?
So I think it might be easy to say what's not new to start with. Workflow automation, the scheduling of campaigns, rule-based personalization, predictive models, they've been around for years. But what's genuinely new is the way in which the models, and they're called generative models, are using text, images, using natural language to be able to interface with it. So again, it comes back to non-technical people to be able to grasp hold of the technology and use it. And I think the biggest change is prior to, if you go back to before AI, all the data we used to use and handle was very structured. It was always in a set format, and you could draw lines between data very quickly and understand connections. What's really happening now is it's taking unstructured data, so emails, images on PDFs, words on PDFs, understanding people's creatives, listening in on telephone calls, for want of a better phrase. I think we've all had it, haven't we, where you sat talking to your friends about something you want to do, and the next thing you know, it's been presented to you on your phone. That is a really good example of modern use of AI, because it's understanding the conversation, then tying that to what somebody wants to supply, bringing the two together and delivering it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And then, how much of today's AI is something you were effectively doing years ago?
Well, this it goes back to what I said earlier. When we first started Outlands back in 2003, I think it was probably around about 2005, 2006 when we started transitioning the business that we had into a more data centric business. And that's when we started turning on the likes of automatic decision making, going a lot more down the personalized content route and trying to predict the outcomes. So we've been doing that, at least for 20, 25 years. The difference now, though, is how quickly it can be done and the cost point that it can be done. And where we used to have to engineer a lot of this in the past, a lot of it is now coming down to configuration. So people are able to configure it as opposed to, employing people like myself as data scientists in order to build some of these some of these complex systems to get it to get it to work. And I think that's the main reason why I feel disruptive, because it's come out of the hands of a very few individuals and brought it out to the masses.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big shift actually. I suppose it's a big shift in a relatively short period of time, isn't it? When you look at it in terms of
Yes,
how fast the technology's evolved, it's phenomenal, isn't it? And probably particularly in the last couple of years, certainly from our viewpoint, I suppose a non-technical person, AI is the buzzword and it's everywhere, but it just seems to have accelerated so rapidly in the last
it,
year.
yeah, it has, and I think that's very indicative of what's happened with technology as itself over time. Is the adoption rate of technology? If you go way, way, way back, it took years, decades for some of the technology to really, to get into and embedded within society. The time to market, the time to embedding now is shortening all the time. And I think that's what we definitely see with AI is, not just AI delivering that, but also the way AI came about and got embedded into society. That's just those iterations are just getting quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pace is the one big thing, isn't it? And just thinking about the marketing side, particularly, what's the one thing non-technical marketeers misunderstand about AI? Because I definitely think there is some misunderstanding.
Yes, I think the number one thing that people have to remember is AI doesn't understand your business. AI does not understand what it is working on. What AI is extremely good at is detecting patterns and optimizing a way in which to get to your goals. It works on the data that you give it. It can't just magic data out of the air. It can't just come up with a strategy because it feels like that should be a good strategy. I think the one thing you've got to really understand is if you give AI a set of data which is wrong, or you give AI a set of objectives which are fundamentally wrong, it will be absolutely brilliant at taking you down the wrong direction. You will get the best wrong result you could possibly hope for. So you've got to really understand what your objectives are and what you're feeding into those AI models to understand whether you're going to get a good result or not.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that actually, because it's just, even if you look at something like ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these platforms, it is all about what you ask it to do for you, isn't it? And if it's
Yes,
quality out. If you're giving it the right brief, you're going to get the answer that you want, or the right answer. You give it the wrong brief, it's going to give you the wrong answer. And like you say, to probably take down a rabbit hole that's completely the wrong thing.
yes, yeah. I mean, I know a few people who have ventured into ChatGPT in order to try and design and build software. Some, with varying different degrees of success. Some have been extremely successful, but they've got a mindset to know how to guide ChatGPT or the AI model to get where they want. Those that haven't been successful have been very general about, oh, I'd like it to do this, I'd like a system that does that, without actually understanding what needs to be at the heart of it in order to deliver what you need. And I think that's true about all areas of AI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking about, 8 Group. Our business is obviously heritage in print, grew out of print. So how does, from thinking about print actually, and Nate Group, I suppose, but more specifically around the world of print. How does AI fit into that heritage rather than threaten it? Because I think that's quite important.
I think it does threaten it, if I'm really honest. But where AI will really work very well within print businesses is and marketing. Let's say print-based marketing. First of all, it will reduce waste. Yeah, that's its number one goal. It's going to do is it's going to do things quicker and more accurately with less error. So that's going to work towards improving targeting. It will decide what should be printed, who it's printing it for, and when it should be produced. Print is all about craft. That's it's all about the craft, the precision, the quality, the pride that gets taken place. That won't disappear, but it'll become more focused and a lot more valuable with AI, not steering the ship, but rowing the oars and getting you to where you need to be quicker.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And where, in your opinion, does AI have the biggest impact in sort of multi-channel marketing now?
It's scale, without a shadow of a doubt. AI is extremely good at joining dots, and it's very good at keeping very large data sets and understanding the complexities and the linkages between those data. So its power is going to be in orchestration across the complexity of what you're trying to achieve. So it'll make better timing decisions. It'll choose the right channel. It'll choose the right message. It'll adapt the message, and then it'll coordinate that across all the different channels and all the different touch points. And it'll be two-way. It won't just be saying, well, okay, I've looked at the data and this is what we're going to execute over the next 4 weeks. It'll look at it and say, this is what I'm planning to do over the next 4 weeks. But then it will, after every interaction, you might be going down path A and client, does something that says, oh, well, actually, I need to adapt and change it. It will do that extremely quickly. And that's where humans struggle. If you're dealing with 5 clients, you know everything about those 5 clients. And every time they interact with you, you're learning something new. What AI is doing is just doing exactly that, but doing it, times a million. So instead of having 5 clients, you've got 5 million clients, or you've got 500,000 clients. But it's bringing that precision and coordination at the individual level repeatedly, which obviously, humans just could not be able to deal with that. So I think that's going to be the biggest impact on multi-channel.
No, it's interesting.
Scale and reacting.
Yeah, you can see it. So the next thing is, so there's a saying I've heard: AI is best at optimizing, humans are best at inventing. Do you agree?
I think yes, broadly. I think the one thing that AI can't do currently, I'm not saying it won't. We go back to, I actually had a conversation, I remember it distinctly, about 20 years ago with somebody where I said, AI is in the context that we see it today will never happen. So, obviously I was totally wrong on that. But I think what I was really trying to say at the time was it won't become human. I don't think it'll have intelligence. I think it's probably it's got the A in front of it for a reason. It's artificial. It's not true intelligence. So where humans, I think, will definitely outperform AI, certainly I think in the next 10, 15 years or so, will be on the strategic side, is coming up with those ideas. AI can't come up with ideas. It can adapt existing ones. It can join some dots together and say, because A and B over here, I can deliver C. But if it never knew about A and B, it'll never get to C. Whereas humans are very good at getting to C without knowing about A and B. So I think that's where it's going to make the difference. So I think humans will continue to decide what's matter. They will look at the problems and they will come up with solutions. AI will then take those solutions and execute it at a speed and scale that you never thought was possible.
Yeah, it is all about the pace, isn't it? Again, fast.
Yeah. So AI, it improves your options, it improves your execution, but humans need to continue to set the direction.
Yeah, and that actually leads nicely into the next question. Will AI replace marketeers?
I'd love to sit here and say absolutely, because as you know, over the years we've had many a conversation about me saying, well, data is everything and the crayons don't count, with you saying, well, if you don't have the crayons, people aren't interested. So will marketers replace? I'd love to say yes, but no. Definitely not. I think what it will do, it will replace inefficient workflows. It'll replace manual reporting. It'll replace those, should we do this, should we do that? What's the data telling me? It'll remove that guesswork. I think the real key here is, will it replace marketeers? I don't think the real risk is replacement. I think it's irrelevance. I think if you don't adopt and change, and marketeers have always had to adopt and change. As long as they continue to do that and stay relevant, then they will continue to set the strategy, but use AI as the tool. And that's what it is. It's just a tool to be, to execute and give more value in a shorter time period. So the marketeer should always come out on top when it comes to the judgment, and the tool should be used to execute.
So, would you say AI is a sous chef then, on that basis?
I've heard this before. Yeah, I think it is a good analogy. I mean, if you take it down that route, it's it's in the kitchen. It's doing all the legwork, isn't it? It's chopping everything up. It's mixing it together. The chef, as such, the human has decided what the dish is going to be and how it should taste and how it should be presented. AI just gets on and does it. And I think that's really good. I think the thing you've got to be very careful of is don't let the sous chef take over the kitchen and write the menu. Because I think if you do that, you'll end up with some wonderful things, but people will just look at it and go, "Why? What? I'm not eating that." So I think that I think that analogy works both ways and is quite a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then where is human judgment irreplaceable?
Yeah, so I think without a clear doubt, long-term thinking, the strategic direction that you want to be going in is definitely human judgment, and you can't outsource that to AI. But I think also looking at brand values, for example, what is a brand value? What did your brand stand for? I think that's very much has to be a human-based thing. Ethics, they say that we should build into, we should have guardrails built into all of these sort of things. Ethics is not just in marketing, but across the whole AI landscape. I think it's Asimov, a famous Russian writer, who laid down the laws of robotics, which, robots can't harm humans, all of that sort of stuff. Well, we sort of bypassed all that. So I think at the moment, you ask AI to do something, it'll pretty much do it regardless of what it is you're asking it to do. So I think we've got to keep control of the ethics. And the other thing as well that humans are good at, and I don't believe AI is as good, is understanding the trade-offs that need to take place. Because you can't do everything. AI will think it can do everything. But, you're going to be constrained by budgets. You're going to be constrained by legislation. You're going to be constrained by the sentiment of the market that you're trying to hit. Those are things that AI won't be able to understand, plan for, and do anything about. So I think that's where the human judgment definitely overrides AI.
Yeah, interesting. And thinking about marketing teams who've not yet got into AI, what is the first step for a marketer or a marketing team not yet using AI? What should they do first?
First of all, I think I'd like to find those departments who aren't using AI. I think the company may have a policy. They may not have AI adopted in their business, but you can damn well sure know that the people who are down on the ground are calling up ChatGPT to ask what should be happening and what should I do this and how do I do that. So that's quite an interesting one. But I think if you're looking at a department who haven't adopted AI and haven't brought AI into, let's say, the workflow and brought it into the decision-making process, I think the best place to start is start where the friction is. If you look at any business, any department, and we'll take marketing as, because that's our background, is where are the teams slow? Why, me and you have sat there and said, why does it take 6 weeks to go from here to here? So look at where things are slow. Look at where there's a lot of repetitive work, and identify where teams are struggling because they can't either access the data or understand the data. And then once you know where those are, is strategically place AI into those small verticals across the team, not everywhere at once. So let's say we've had this many a time with trying to get artwork ready and getting modifications done to artwork, is bring AI in to do the modifications to artwork. And I know that is happening, but that's a really good example. AI hasn't taken over the whole of the marketing department. It has just been placed into particular bits in order to remove a blockage.
Yeah. And therefore just on that, what question should those marketers be asking their technical team or the Darren equivalent in their business? What should they be asking to make sure that, taking your points there, is to making sure that it all interlocks together and it works as it should?
I think there's two separate bits to that, and I'll take the first one first. So what assumptions are baked into the system? Every model will have a certain set of, I'll say beliefs, but rules, leanings would be baked into that. So try and understand what Get the tech team to explain what has been baked into that model, and also because obviously you've got to say what your goal is, which is what is the success, what looks good, what can be classed as successful. Again, talk to your tech teams and say, well, what are we thinking is success? What have we told the AI model is successful? Is it, I want 2% more customers? Brilliant, great. The problem is you end up with 2% customers who fall into the worst performing 5% category. You don't want 2% more of those. I'll actually take 20% more of my top 10% performing customers. So it's been quite nuanced about telling and getting the AI model to the point where you get the results you need, not what you think straight off you want. If you don't do that, you start to lose control of the outcomes. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing, which is I think we're starting to feel a bit more now, is cost. At the end of the day, this is a tool, this is an asset. There's going to be a cost associated to it. Everybody thinks, great, it's non-human, it's going to be very, very cheap. And certainly when the first sets of AI models were coming out and they were trying to take over the world, people forgot about cost. And actually, I think the AI companies don't think they forgot about cost. They just gave it away for free. Come hold the puppy, see what you've got. Now that costs are starting to come into it, some of these costs which are coming out can be quite eye-watering. So I think you've got to say to your tech team, okay, what's embedded within the system? What are we looking to get out, and how much is it going to cost? And at the end of the day, you equate that back like we used to in the good old days to say, what is the cost of acquisition? What is the cost of conversion? That cost has to be taken into account. I mean, I know some people who are building quite a successful business, and they're using Claude to do a lot of their software development. Problem is, at the moment, they can only work for about 4 hours a day, because they then run out of credits. Yeah. So they have to wait. They'll have to pay more, which they can't. But, they're an emerging business. They don't have the budget for it. So they have to wait till the next day. So they go and work on something else for the rest of that day. And I think that's quite, it's preposterous, but I think that really sums up that you've got to be very understanding of what these costs are going to be that are coming through.
And also, as well, thinking about that, actually, the cost, and that's an interesting example. That somebody's like, say, got credits to do 4 hours. You do something with Claude, they could jump onto ChatGPT and then use your credits there, and that kind of thing.
Yes.
But also, attribution is key, isn't it? It's like if you're using the tools or AI tools as part of your marketing sort of strategy and plan and budget, it's the attribution, isn't it? I mean, funnily enough, we had an inquiry in the other day inbound through the website, and through some of the tracking we've got, we can see the source was ChatGPT, which is quite interesting. I've not seen that before. So somebody, rather than doing a standard Google search, they put whatever they put into ChatGPT and it spat out 8 group. So we've got an inbound inquiry. So we can actually now attribute an inbound lead to ChatGPT, which I've not seen before.
Yeah, you haven't got ChatGPT at your end doing the answer to go back to it, because if you do that, we can all just go home and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was, and this is one of the things that I'm finding is, people are writing emails to somebody and they go to ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT what they want to have, what they want to say. ChatGPT writes it, all perfect, all fantastic, all great. Sends it to the recipient, who takes it, drops it into ChatGPT, and says, "Can you convert this back into something that I'll understand?" And then they do their reply on ChatGPT. I'd cut us out. Just get the two ChatGPTs to talk to each other.
Yeah. That's moving the game on a bit of that, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah. So I take it you haven't got ChatGPT monitoring your inbound.
No. No. I use ChatGPT as a guide, as a help. I will not let it write for me.
Yes.
Because I think it's quite obvious if somebody's used AI generated text in an email or even in marketing, which you can see it stands out a mile. So to me, this then comes back to the whole authenticity piece. And there's a lot of talk around being authenticity because of AI, because it can be obvious. And I guess that's probably, leads actually on to my next question, and you might mention it here, is that, looking at the future, because we've talked about the ridiculous pace that it's moved on at. Where are we going to be at with it in the next 2-3 years, do you think?
Well, I think we're definitely at the forefront of a movement which is going to sweep across business, across society. We see it already. So I think it's exciting. I mean, from a technical person, I find it very exciting and very intriguing. But I think we've got to a certain age now. That's what I think. Where basically you look at it and think, oh, God, This is quite unsettling. This has got huge consequences for society. But the genie's out. It's not going to go away. So we're going to find embedded is going to be AI is going to be embedded everywhere. It's going to be in every piece of infrastructure. It's going to be on your watch. It's going to be on your cooker. It's going to be on your TV. There will be fewer and fewer people making decisions. We're going to outsource decision making. A lot of that will become automated. And I think we'll get smaller and smaller teams producing larger and larger outputs. And the winners won't be those that use AI. It'll be those that are who design how to use it, who control how to use it, and get it to deliver what it is that you're trying to achieve. I think that's my forecast for 3 years' time, let's say, is more efficiency at the cost of fewer people in controlling positions.
Yeah. I don't know about you, just as we're sort of coming to the end here, but I don't know about you, but I certainly in recent conversations around AI, I cannot stop thinking about the Terminator and Cyberdyne system.
Yes.
Because it feels like at some point somebody's going to flick a switch or something, and it's like there's going to be this big AI shift and take. I mean, but it just shows, doesn't it? The vision. I can't remember the guy who wrote that film, The Terminator, but
yeah,
it's amazing because it feels like it's happening now.
Yeah, and I think there's take the sci-fi, going back, coming back from the future and all that sort of stuff. I think a lot of what we are seeing is there. Automated decision making in critical situations. We're getting closer to that. I don't want to touch on any geopolitical side of this at all, but you've just got to read what's happening on the other side of the Atlantic from here and in the Middle East to know that AI is taking a massive stride in there. And people talk about guardrails, they talk about ethics and doing the right thing. I hope we can find a solution to that, or else we might end up, in the Terminator scenario. I mean, personally, I don't think we will. I don't think we will. But it's like any tool; it's easily to be misused.
Yeah, it needs human intervention and human control, doesn't it?
It does, yes, yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say, and I've been in paper and print for more than 30 years. In fact, because when I first moved towards paper and print, when I came out of the oil industry, somebody said to me, "Why are you doing this? Paper will be dead in 10 years." And how many times have we heard paper will be dead, postage will be dead in 10 years? Well, we're still here, and we're still being told it's going to be dead in 10 years, but it's not. It's just going to change and adapt. And AI is one of those things that will help us change and adapt. So I think a lot of the prophecies that come out, you've got to take with a pinch of salt. Will we be fighting the machine in 5 years' time? I don't think so. But, if we don't control it, who knows where it'll end up?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, a large pinch of salt and a sprinkling of common sense
Yes.
rules the roost, without question. Okay, that's brilliant, and thank you for that, Dan. Really useful as we're coming to conclusion. Actually, there was a statistic I meant to reel off at the beginning, which I'll just mention now because it is such a hot topic. According to HubSpot, 70% of marketeers feel challenged keeping up with AI, but recognise the need to adapt quickly, which is interesting. And also, Gartner reporting that only 30% of marketeers feel confident in their AI knowledge and skills today, and I think that's probably telling because, as we've discussed and I said at the beginning, everybody's talking about AI, but are we, certainly the non-techies or marketeers, confident in its ability and really, really understand what it can do? And that's why they need people like you probably to help guide them and specialists who do understand it and actually understand how it can work in our industry, not just in print, but in multi-channel, in digital marketing, the whole area, the whole stratosphere of how it works and knitting that technology together. So hopefully that it's been useful today for listeners. Any final comments from you on that topic, Darren?
I think the one thing I think that, you could have done that survey. You could have done that Gartner survey on just about any emerging technology over the last 30 years, and you'd have got the same result. I remember when Google retargeting came in. When we started moving from traditional based advertising models, push models, to the more interactive that Google was offering. And marketeers at that point saying, "I don't know what to do. I don't understand this. I don't know." But they adapt and they change and they learn new skills. And I think AI is just the same. It's the buzzword. Everybody's running around after it. What's going to be the next thing after AI? Who knows? But if we knew what that was, we'd be building it now and we'd be offering it now and be the vanguard of it. So I don't. I can understand marketeers' concerns, but they are no different to the marketeers that were there 30 years before them when they were dealing with the emergence of the digital age.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And with that, we got to wrap this one up. So thank you very much indeed, Darren.
You're welcome.
For those listening to the podcast, for the first time, give it a like, give it a follow, obviously on your podcast channel of choice, whether it be Apple or Spotify. And of course, we're on YouTube as well. But thanks again, Darren. And we'll see you all on the next one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, lads. Bye.